Hello, my name's Ben.
And my name is Josh.
And welcome back to FPL Graduates. And welcome back to another video.
Yeah, in today's video, we're going to be talking about the best £5.5 million assets. Obviously, these guys are going to be your enablers in that midfield. Say if you go for a freemium or any other sort of players, we've got the likes of PEDRO, NETO in here, loads of different players. So let's get into it.
Okay, so the first guy that we've got in here is a little bit cheaper, but he's 5 million. So he is very much a budget option. We saw last season with Aston Villa, he didn't play too much. Now, the reason was it's because he had a lot of injuries last season. But this season, we believe that he could really hit the ground running. We've seen in previous years that he's a fantastic player going forwards, and hopefully he can start getting a starting spot in that Aston Villa team. It's looking very tasty at the moment.
Yeah, but obviously his form for Bayer Leverkusen was really good. That's why Aston Villa paid for him. And obviously last season, 7 starts and only 11 sub-appearances, less than 1,000 minutes. We expect that to increase. And if that increases, he's definitely going to get some more attack and returns. And with those 3 fixtures at the start of the season are really good. If we know that he's going to get some minutes at the start of the season, he's definitely one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and I mean, 3 goal contributions in those 7 starts, it's still not bad stats to go off. Like, I know it's a sort of relatively small sample size, but it's definitely worth bearing in mind. If you come around and you think, I can't afford the 5.5s, I'm going to have to go for the 5 million option, Leon Bailey could be that guy.
So moving on to our first 5.5 million midfielder, and it's a new signing to the Premier League, one that I'm actually quite excited about. He played really well for Rangers, and it is Joe ARIBO. Obviously, last season for Rangers, getting 8 goals, 5 assists. He was quite crucial in their Europa League campaign that took them to the final 2. What's your thoughts on him, Ben?
Yeah, I like him. It's one for me that I'm probably going to wait and see with Southampton based on how their fixtures are looking. It's a very tough run. Even the green fixtures that we got, I mean, Leicester away isn't the easiest of fixtures. So I can see Southampton playing very defensively for those first 5. But after that point, I'll be very interested to see how he does against lower half opposition. That Leeds game will be a good barometer to how he does against other teams in similar positions in the league. So I'm looking forward to seeing how he plays. And at 5.5 million, if he hits the ground running, could be a lot of points in there for us. So the next guy we got in is a player who was relatively highly owned last season in parts, and it's Jacob Ramsey of Aston Villa. The guy started 29 times last season. We expect that to only increase as he gets better and better with age. Remember, he is not old at all. He is an up-and-coming youngster in this Aston Villa team. And yeah, he got some decent stats to go along with it too.
Yeah, obviously Ramsey's going to be one of those guys that if you're looking for minutes, he's probably the one to go for. I don't see him getting rotated too much in that Aston Villa side. Gerrard seems to be a big fan of him. Again, Villa's fixtures, the first 3 especially, they're really good as well. Goals-wise, he's obviously more of a goal threat than he is an assist threat. But hey, that might improve as well as he's obviously gaining more experience in the Premier League. So next up in our list, a slightly differential one actually, is going to be Visser. Obviously, came off the bench a lot for Brentford last season. As you can see, 18 sub-appearances, but played an okay amount of minutes. In those amount of minutes, he's got 7 goals and 1 assist. So he's quite an explosive player. Did definitely outperform his XG though. What's your thoughts on him, Ben?
Yeah, I like him, but I've got some reservations about him, and it's mainly because of the transfer dealings that Brentford have been doing over the window. Remember, guys, Lewis Potter has just come in from... who did he come from? Hull. Thank you. And in the Championship, I know better than anyone, he tore Reading apart a couple of times. And, you know, he could be a good addition to the 5.5 million players. But Visser, last year, he was good off the bench in parts with Brentford. So we'll see and how his role develops in the team for this next season. But, you know, it could be a really good option and a differential one to go for over some of these other guys in the list.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned Lewis Potter because Brentford have a good amount of 5.5 midfielders and their fixtures at the starting 5, they're pretty decent, you know, Fulham away, Everton at home, and obviously some okay-ish fixtures with Leicester and Palace. So, yeah, not too bad. So it'll be interesting to see if Potter does come into that team and start regularly because he could be that 5.5 that we'll be looking at.
Okay, next on is the star boy himself. It is Michael Olise. Don't be put off by those early fixtures because Palace are a very good team with Olise in there. Last season, he almost was getting introduced into the team by Patrick Vieira. Got a few starts here and there. And wow, what a sensational talent that he is.
Yeah, I think I saw a stat floating around this week that Michael Olise was involved in 44% of goals that Crystal Palace scored when he was on the pitch. So nearly half the amount of goals they scored whilst he was on the pitch. Crazy numbers. He's a really, really big talent, as you can tell. Not a lot of minutes as well. 2 goals, 5 assists. He was very good in the FA Cup as well last season. We think this season it could be his breakout year. Obviously, Eze as well is priced the same. So between those two, I think you could find yourself a very good asset when Palace have the better fixtures.
Yeah, for sure. And you've got to remember, guys, remember what he did to Manchester City's defence. That's all I'm going to say, guys. And the opening fixtures, he's got City away again. So we'll see what happens with that. And hopefully Olise gets a couple of goals and an assist in that run of 5 games.
Next up, it is Anthony Gordon. Again, a player who got quite a few minutes last season as a 4.5 million midfielder. 25 starts and 10 sub-appearances. Frank Lampard seems to be a very big fan. The new number 10 at Everton as well. 4 goals, 2 assists. A bit lacklustre in the attack and returns. You see that improving this season, Ben?
Yeah, definitely. And the reasonings that I see his goals and assist tally improving is because he's going to be able to play in his preferred position. Now Richarlison has gone, that sort of right forward role almost opens up for Anthony Gordon to go into and start for Everton. He's going to be one of the main men this season. Let's not get that twisted. He's going to be up there with the most important of assets for Frank Lampard and the Evertonians. So I anticipate him having a big impact in FPL this season and potentially getting quite a few returns along the way.
Yeah, when picking assets from the smaller clubs, you want to look for those talismanic figures. We see it with DCL, who's priced at 8 million. This guy's priced at 3.5 million cheaper. So I think he'll be just as important as DCL if Everton are to improve this season.
Next up, we're going to go for a guy who I think has gone really under the radar and is potentially the best 5.5 million option that is out there. It's Pablo Fornals. We know that his minutes are almost guaranteed in this West Ham team. Yes, they're looking like they're going to make a couple of signings, but you've also got to remember Lanzini is potentially on his way out, so that's going to secure his minutes even more. And last season, he got 118 points, so it's not like he's not getting returns. He could see some decent minutes again this season and some nice returns for that £5.5 million price.
Yeah, obviously it's not a lot of money that you're investing. So if a player is getting around 10 returns in a season, that's pretty decent. You just need to hop on and off these players when they're on the hot streaks. Obviously, West Ham first game in the season, you'll probably try and bench him if you're starting with him and then rotate. For the Forest game, Brighton's not bad, Villa's not bad. So it's one of those where you'll sub in and sub out. And I think maybe an optimal strategy would be to have 2 of these guys rotating quite well. But as you said, Fornals picked up 6 goals, 3 assists, relatively similar XG. So he's not overperforming, not underperforming, which is really good to see. And like you said, the minutes there, he is a lock in that West Ham side. So on to the final player and probably the most hyped £5.5 million asset on FPL currently, and it is Pedro Neto from Wolves. Obviously, last season, he didn't pick up a whole lot of points. He was injured for the majority of it, but he's returning this year, and he was such a good asset in that 2021 season. Loads of minutes, as we've spoken about before. 30 starts. I can see him coming straight back into that team if he is fit to do so. 5 goals, 6 assists. I think he scored over 120 points. Very good score. Are you going up with him in game week 1, Ben?
I've currently got him at the moment, and to be honest, it's probably between him and Pablo Fornals as to the 2 that I'm going for. Pedro Neto, he's got no competition, in my opinion, for his position. It's his spot to lose in that Wolves team, especially with a couple of players going out on loan for Wolves. It just shows that Pedro Neto is going to be trusted again next season. Let's hope that he can keep fit, and those opening fixtures are too tasty to ignore. Yes, guys, so that rounds off the £5.5 million players, and it is worth noting, guys, that with these players, these are guys that you don't expect to start every week in your FPL teams. So we'd recommend probably rotating with another player. I know Josh mentioned earlier with another 5.5 could be optimal. Another really good strategy could be to work out who rotates well from a defensive point of view. So if you've got a £4.5 million defender, a bit of a cheaper defender, maybe rotating between the 4.5 million defender and the 5.5 million midfielder could be a great strategy to go for, because it means you can take advantage of the better fixtures.
Exactly, like Ben said. So if you want to stay tuned, we'll be releasing some of those fixture rotations soon. So make sure you stay subscribed to our YouTube channel and follow us on all our socials as per usual.
Yes, and like Josh said, yeah, go and follow us and all of that good stuff. And make sure that you like the video and comment your opinion down below. Who is the best £5.5 million midfielder in your opinion? Would be interested to hear your thoughts. And as usual, I've been Ben.
I've been Josh.
And we'll see you guys
later.